To conclude the first lecture in Communication Networks 2, let's have a look into the evolution, right? Again, circuit switched networks after a revolution went over to packet switched networks, which are not able nowadays to meet the technical challenges and use cases that you have seen in this lecture. So you will see something, a new revolution with a new network that might be called computing-centric networks or computing in communication networks. Important is that now the intelligence is within the network, that we can exploit things like multipass, etc. pp. And this is the picture that we started with, that is also in the book. This is how the evolution of networks will look like. Once this have taken place, the softwareization or the 5G, there's a game changer for all of that, especially for network operators. And I would just highlight this in a minute. So if you look at normal 4G networks, you always had here something like the cloud servers, you have a network, a back-end network, you had a base station here and the devices. So if you look, here's the mobile, here's the content, and this is the network operator's job. If you look who's in the content area, it's Facebook, Amazon, Google. On the mobile device, it's Samsung, Apple, Amazon, even Google here, right? And if you look where the money is and where no money is, then you think paradise is where the cloud is or where the devices are. This is where OTT really made it big. The network operators are suffering because they just have to convey the information and they cannot create services by themselves. And the reason for that is we had APIs available to program on the content side or on the mobile side, but there are no APIs available for people to create services on the network, which is not totally true because in 3GPP we have the IMS, but IMS was really clumsy and it's very hard to get access to that, especially for externals. With 5G, it will change a little bit because first the network architecture will be different. The service is not anymore in the back end, it's in the network, and all of the low latency applications will run in the network. So OTT is dead for 5G, which means you cannot just create a service in here if the network operators will not give you access. And that's the way how they also could make money. Then you will have different strategies also how you reach a mobile. Here you only had a mobile phone as a slave. Here it's more like cooperative clusters, heterogeneity with different devices, massive IoT. So you will find a lot of new use cases. And now it's not only mobile and content, you also have the services here with the network operators and maybe some smart geeks, that could be you, that are creating services that can be placed within the network. So I leave you with a nice picture that we had some years back with Chancellor Merkel. So 5G makes everybody happy. And I will continue to question ourselves, if 5G is so great, will there be something after 5G? Is 6G next, right? Currently, they discuss 6G a lot, but I've never heard some technical novelties in the 6G networks. The question is also, why do we need the generation still, right? I think I made my point that the internet has no generation because they are all in software. Now that we have everything in software, it makes no sense to have a generation other than marketing tools. Now, if we talk about 6G now, there's something that we could scare away the vertical players. All of the nice industries that you have seen that line up for 5G, they might now say, oh, why don't we wait for 6G, even though there's nothing coming maybe. There are also other people claiming that only even-numbered generation would be a success, which is totally stupid because then we would have named 3G, 6G in the first place. And you have to think about the use cases because 5G is a success and will be a success because it defines already the use cases, and 6G will not bring a new use case, right? It might have some changes in the technology, but this can be also done in 5G releases because 5G does not stand still. There are some different releases. So what we should ask ourselves is how the communication in the future will look like, right? Do we really need a cellular nationwide network? Or is it okay to have 5G rolled out together with 4G nationwide, and then we have some type of 5G campus networks and that are bringing us new features for very special use cases. And if you look at the technical requirements, it's still latency, it's still security, energy and resilience. So this has not changed, and this is also discussed in 5G. With that, I would leave you alone with the outlook. One of the next lectures will be on the tactile internet and how 5G plays a really severe role there. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope to see you for the second lecture.